The great meeting hall of the Galaxy Council was full of worried aliens. 47 different alien races had come together on Space Station Harmony. They all looked scared and nervous. In the middle of the room stood Ambassador Keth from the Zalani people. His blue see-through body was shaking with fear and tiredness. "Friends of the Council," Keth said in a shaky voice. The translation machines made sure everyone could understand him. "My people are going to die. The evil Krex Empire has broken our peace agreement. They have attacked 3 of our colony worlds. Now they are coming for our home planet. We cannot stop them alone." Worried sounds came from all around the room. The bug-like Altarians made clicking noises with their mouths. The furry Vegan aliens looked very frightened. Most alien races in the galaxy had stopped fighting wars thousands of years ago. They did not know how to fight anymore. Council leader Velith was very old and wise. His people had lived in peace for 8,000 years. He spoke in a sad voice. "The Krex have always been mean and violent, but this attack breaks all our laws. What kind of help do you need?" "We need soldiers," Keth said simply. "We need fighters to protect us." The room became completely quiet. Many aliens looked at each other with uncomfortable faces. Nobody wanted to speak first. Finally, the Therian delegate stood up and said, "Ambassador Keth, you must understand something. Our people learned to travel between stars because we stopped being violent. We are now explorers and scientists and teachers. We do not fight wars anymore." Another alien from Centauri added, "We only have small defense forces. Maybe we could put trade restrictions on the Krex instead of fighting them." "There is no time for trade restrictions," Keth shouted, his voice breaking with fear. "The Krex war fleet will reach our homeworld in 47 days. They do not talk. They do not show mercy. They destroy everything and everyone. Council." Leader Velith looked very sad. "I am afraid we do not have enough fighting experience for such a dangerous mission. The risk would be too high for any of our forces." Suddenly, all the big TV screens around the room started flashing. An unknown signal was trying to contact the Council's emergency radio channel. Security Chief Nara, who looked like a big insect, worked quickly at her control panel. "Unknown spaceship approaching our station," she announced. "They heard our call for help and they are responding." "Who are they?" asked Velith. "They say they represent something called the United Earth Federation from a solar system called Sol. I have never heard of them before." The main screen turned on and showed a face that none of the aliens had ever seen before. The creature had light-colored skin, dark hair, and bright brown eyes. What scared the aliens most were the eyes. They pointed forward like a hunting animal's eyes. "This is Captain Jake Morrison from the Earth ship called Defiance," the human said in a calm voice. "We got your emergency call. What is the problem?" The alien representatives stared at the screen without speaking. They had never seen anything like this creature before. Finally, Council Leader Velith found his voice. "Unknown creature, this is a private military discussion. This situation needs experienced fighting forces." Captain Morrison's face did not change. "Understood. We are good at fighting. What kind of enemies are we dealing with?" Ambassador Keth felt a tiny bit of hope for the first time in weeks. "You do not understand how big this problem is. The Krex Empire has thousands of warships. Their ground armies have millions of soldiers. This is not a job for just one ship." Morrison nodded and thought for a moment. "I see. We will need about 3 days to put together a proper fighting force. Can you survive that long?" The room exploded with confused talking. Security Chief Nara looked at her computer readings and said, "Our scans show their ship is very simple compared to ours. Basic design, simple weapons, old-style engines. Council." Leader Velith spoke very carefully. "Captain Morrison, I do not think you understand how big this war is. The Krex are a warrior race. They have conquered 17 star systems." Morrison's mouth curved up in what humans call a smile. But to the aliens, this expression looked scary and threatening. 17 systems. That is not very impressive. We will be there in 3 days. The communication ended, leaving all the aliens sitting in confused silence. The aliens did not know what to think. Where had these strange creatures come from? How could they be so confident about fighting the terrible Krex Empire? And why did they look so much like predators? Ambassador Keth was the first to speak. Did anyone else notice their eyes? They point forward like a hunter's eyes. And those teeth, added Security Chief Nara with a shiver. When he smiled, I could see sharp white teeth. Council Leader Veleth was thinking hard. They seemed very calm about the idea of fighting. Most civilized species would be worried or scared. These humans acted like fighting was normal for them. Maybe they are just young and foolish, suggested the Therian delegate. They probably do not understand how dangerous the Krex really are. But Ambassador Keth was not so sure. Something about the human captain had given him hope. The way Morrison had said we specialize in combat operations sounded like he really meant it. Maybe these strange creatures from the Sol system could actually help. We should warn them about what they are getting into, said the Centaurian representative. It would not be fair to let them fly into a death trap. I agree, said Veleth, but something tells me these humans might surprise us. Did you see how confident Captain Morrison was? Either they are completely crazy, or they know something about fighting that we do not. As the council meeting ended, all the aliens were thinking the same thing. In 3 days they would learn what these mysterious humans were really capable of. The Krex Empire was about to meet something they had never encountered before, creatures that seemed to welcome a fight instead of fear it. Little did the Galactic Council know that they had just made contact with a species from a death world. A species that had been fighting for survival since the day they first walked upright. The humans were coming, and the galaxy was about to change forever. 3 days passed quickly. The alien sensors around Zealand Prime suddenly detected something amazing and scary. Where Captain Morrison had promised to bring help, space was now full of ships. Over 200 human vessels of different sizes were flying toward the system. Their ships looked simple and rough, but they moved with clear purpose. Admiral Zex was the leader of the Krex Fourth Fleet. He was a big reptile creature with scales and sharp teeth. He looked at the approaching human ships with interest, but no fear. His assistant gave him information about the new enemy. Unknown ships coming, Admiral. Their technology looks old and simple. They have fewer ships than us. Should we attack them? Yes, destroy them all, Zex said in a cold voice. Then we will finish killing the Zilani people. The human ships moved into a strange pattern that no alien military expert would understand. Captain Morrison was now on a bigger ship called the Relentless. A human woman named Admiral Lisa Parker was in charge of all the Earth ships. She called the Zilani defenders on the radio. Zilan Prime, this is Earth Force Admiral Lisa Parker. We are here to help you. Move your civilian ships far, away from the battle area. Ambassador Keth was now on the main Zilani command ship. He watched the battle computer screen with growing fear. Admiral Parker, the Krex have 5 times more ships than you do. Maybe we should try to talk to them instead of fighting. No way, Parker answered quickly. We do not talk to bullies. All human ships start shooting. Let's show these lizard creatures how Earth people fight. What happened next was completely crazy by alien standards. The human ships did not try to avoid getting hurt or protect themselves. Instead, they flew straight at the Krex ships while shooting all their weapons at the same time. The first Krex ship got destroyed in a way that shocked everyone. A human ship called the Phoenix crashed right through the enemy ship's shields and metal hull. The Phoenix came out of the explosion still mostly working and immediately started attacking the next target. That is impossible, Admiral Zex hissed through his sharp teeth. No smart species is that crazy and reckless. But the humans were not being crazy or reckless. Every move that looked like suicide was actually carefully planned. Every dangerous attack was thought out ahead of time. The humans fought like they were born to do it, because they really were. Colonel Sam Turner was leading the first ground attack on Zealand Colony 7. His Marines jumped from spaceships high above the planet in small individual pods. This way of attacking horrified the Zilani aliens who were watching. They are falling through the sky with no protection, Keth said with shock. Sir, Turner's voice came through the radio with some static. We call this a combat drop. This is normal for us. We will land in 30 seconds. The Krek soldiers had been controlling Colony 7 for 6 months. They had been stealing all the planet's resources and making slaves of the people. They were not ready for creatures who thought falling from space with just a parachute and armor was a normal Tuesday activity. Turner's boots hit the ground in the colony's main square. His military rifle was already pointing at targets before he even finished landing. Around him, 200 human Marines landed and spread out with perfect timing and coordination. Enemy soldiers coming from the front, Sergeant Amy Cross reported over the military radio network. Krek's infantry moving toward us from the government buildings. The Krek's warriors were very impressive and scary. They were almost 10 feet tall, with natural armor on their bodies and razor-sharp claws on their hands. They had been scaring the whole galaxy for hundreds of years. Against the human Marines, they lasted about 4 minutes. Zealand Colony 7 is now safe, Turner reported calmly. Very few civilians got hurt, ready to evacuate people. On the Zilani command ship, Ambassador Keth stared at the battle computer screen with complete amazement. In less than 6 hours, the humans had won a fight that had been going on for 6 months. How? He whispered, barely able to speak. Admiral Parker's voice sounded confused. Sir? What do you mean? How are you doing this? The Kreks are the most feared fighters in all of known space. Everyone is terrified of them. There was a quiet pause before Parker answered. Ambassador, let me explain something. On our home planet, everything tries to kill us every day. The weather wants to kill us. The animals want to eat us. Even tiny bacteria. And sometimes the plants try to hurt us. We have been fighting just to stay alive since our ancestors first learned to walk on 2 legs. These Kreks might be tough and scary, but they are not tougher than a hurricane storm or a charging grizzly bear. What is a grizzly bear? Keth asked in a weak voice. Never mind, Parker replied. If I told you, you would have bad dreams for weeks. Ambassador Keth realized something that made his blue skin turn even paler. These humans were not just warriors. They were something much more dangerous. They were survivors from a world that had been trying to kill them since birth. The galaxy had never seen anything like them before. The battle continued in space above. Human ships kept doing impossible things. They crashed through enemy formations. They used their own ships as weapons. They fought with a wild creativity that the Kreks could not understand or counter. Admiral, a Krek's officer reported to Zex, we are losing ships faster than we can count. These creatures fight like they have no fear of death. Admiral Zex watched another of his ships explode as a human vessel rammed into it at full speed. What kind of species does such things? Was about to find out that Earth had produced the most dangerous kind of species possible, one that refused to give up, no matter what the odds. The rescue of the outer colonies continued with scary speed and success. Human forces adapted to each new problem with an ability that amazed their alien friends and terrified their enemies. When the Kreks released poisonous gas into the air of Zealand Colony 2, the humans simply put on gas masks and kept fighting like nothing had happened. Lieutenant Commander Pete Walsh led a rescue mission into the colony's underground mining tunnels. Thousands of Zilani civilians were trapped below ground because the air above was now poisonous and deadly. Sir, his team medic, Corpsman Lisa Kim, reported while checking her instruments, the air readings are terrible. Hydrogen sulfide, methane, carbon monoxide. This place is basically like a giant sewer pipe. Walsh looked at his equipment readings and just shrugged his shoulders. So, like Detroit on a really bad day. Let's get moving. The rescued Zilani people could not understand how the humans could work normally in conditions that would kill most alien species in just a few minutes. Dr. Sarah Bell was the expedition's expert on alien life forms. She tried to explain things to Ambassador Keth during a meeting. Earth is what the galaxy would call a Class 12 death world, she said in a normal, everyday voice like she was talking about the weather. We have extreme weather that changes quickly, dangerous animals everywhere, unstable ground that shakes and explodes, and that is just the beginning. Humans evolved to survive in conditions that most galactic species would consider completely impossible to live in. Keth's see-through blue skin turned even more pale. Your entire species came from such a horrible world? It gets much worse. Dr. Bell continued with a cheerful smile. We spread to every type of environment on our planet. Deserts where the temperature reaches 140 degrees. Polar regions where it gets 70 below zero. Mountains, where the air is too thin to breathe properly. We learned to live in all of these places. The psychological damage to the Krex forces was becoming very clear. Admiral Zex found himself fighting an enemy that seemed to actually enjoy the challenges that broke other species completely. When his forces retreated to the heavily protected moon base called Zerion, the humans did not see an impossible fortress to attack. They saw a target-rich environment full of enemies to defeat. Major Rick Stone planned the assault with typical human practical thinking. The base is built deep inside the asteroid rock, 20 levels going down, connected by a network of tunnels that are barely wide enough for their big troops to move through. Sounds like city fighting, observed Captain Janet Ford, who commanded the assault battalion. Like urban warfare, but in space instead of on a planet. Exactly right. We go in, hard and fast, clear each level one by one. Standard room clearing procedures that we have practiced 1,000 times. The Krex had designed a Zerion base to be completely unconquerable. The narrow passages would force any attackers into kill zones where they could be easily shot. The deep interior gave no room for big military movements. It was a perfect defensive position against any civilized alien species. But humans were not civilized by galactic standards. They were the product of a world that had been actively trying to kill them for millions of years. When the assault began, the human troops moved through the base's corridors like water flowing downhill. Each squad covered the next squad's movement. Every soldier watched every angle for hidden enemies. Krex Garrison Commander Thek made his final stand in the base's command center. He was surrounded by his best elite guards. He had personally killed over 1,000 enemies during his long military career. The human sergeant who kicked down his door was half his size and looked barely old enough to be a real warrior. "Give up now," Sergeant Tony Cruz said simply, his weapon pointed at the massive alien creature. Thek roared a battle challenge and charged forward with his claws extended, ready to tear the small human apart. Cruz put 3 bullets into the center of the alien's chest without even blinking. As the Krex commander fell down dead, Cruz pressed his radio button. "Command center is secure and under our control. Moving to secondary objectives now." The fall of Zerion base completely broke the back of Krex resistance in the entire Zillan system. Admiral Zex's remaining forces retreated to the outer edge of the system, hoping to regroup their scattered forces and call for reinforcements from the main Krex empire. They never got the chance to call for help. Admiral Parker had guessed what they would do and positioned her fastest ships to intercept them. The space battle was brief and completely one-sided. "Admiral," Captain Morrison reported from his ship, the Defiance, "the enemy fleet is asking to surrender to us." Parker thought about it for a moment. "Tell them they can surrender completely with no conditions, or we can continue this conversation using torpedoes and missiles. Their choice to make." 20 minutes later, the entire Krex 4th Fleet surrendered without firing another single shot. The liberation of Zelen Colony 4 showed just how adaptable humans could be. The Krex had flooded the colony with a type of acid rain that melted most metals and burned alien skin. The colonists were hiding in underground shelters, slowly starving to death. Captain Dan White led his company through the acid rain wearing special protective suits. "Just like that training exercise in the Amazon rainforest," he told his troops. "Except the rain here only melts metal instead of carrying deadly diseases." His soldiers laughed and kept moving. They had trained in every horrible environment Earth could offer. Acid rain from space aliens was just another Tuesday for them. The rescue took 12 hours. When it was over, 15,000 Zilani civilians were safe and on their way to evacuation ships. Captain White's after-action report was typically brief. "Mission complete. No human casualties. Weather was annoying, but manageable." Ambassador Keth read the report and felt dizzy. What the humans called annoying but manageable would have been considered an extinction-level disaster by most galactic species. Dr. Bell found him sitting alone in his quarters, staring at nothing. "Ambassador, are you feeling all right?" She asked with genuine concern. "Dr. Bell," Keith said slowly, I am beginning to understand something terrible and wonderful. Your species is not just militarily superior. You are evolutionarily superior. You have been shaped by forces that would destroy any other known species. Dr. Bell sat down across from him. We prefer to think of it as being really, really hard to kill. Earth tried its best to wipe us out for millions of years. We are still here, and we are not going anywhere. What does this mean for the galaxy? Keth asked. It means, Dr. Bell said with that same cheerful smile, that the bullies just met someone they cannot bully. The liberation of the Zalan system sent shockwaves throughout the entire galaxy. For the first time in recorded history, the mighty Krex Empire had been completely and totally defeated. What disturbed many alien species even more was how easily and efficiently the humans had done it. The emergency session of the Galactic Council met once again. This time they needed to decide what to do about Earth and its dangerous people. Admiral Parker attended as humanity's representative. Her uniform still had burn marks and damage from the final space battle. The Council recognizes the great debt we owe to humanity for their help. Council leader Veleth began very carefully. However, your fighting methods raise certain worrying concerns. What kind of concerns? Parker asked in a direct way. Counselor Thane from the Altarian Collective made nervous clicking sounds with his mouth parts. Your species shows a disturbing comfort with violence and war. Your tactics are extreme and frightening. But they work, Parker replied simply. The Zalani people are free. The Krex will not bother anyone for a long time. Mission accomplished successfully. But at what cost? Interrupted Counselor Vera from the Centaurian Union. Your casualty. Reports show you lost over 300 people in the operation. Parker's face became hard and serious. Those 300 died so that 3 million Zelani could live. We consider that an acceptable trade and a good deal. The council chamber became completely quiet. The idea of acceptable losses was completely alien to most species present. They could not understand how anyone could think that way. Ambassador Keth stood up from his seat. If I may speak to the council. He moved to the center of the chamber. His body was steadier and stronger than it had been in many months. The Krex Empire has terrorized this galaxy for hundreds of years. They have destroyed entire worlds, enslaved countless populations, and murdered billions of innocent people. He turned to face Admiral Parker. Until now, no species has been able to stand against them. The humans asked for nothing in return, for their help. They risked their lives for people they had never met before, simply because it was the right thing to do. And yet, Counselor Thane continued stubbornly, they are clearly a warrior species designed for violence. How do we know they will not become the next threat to galactic peace? Parker stood up. Her movement caused several alien representatives to flinch and move back reflexively. Counselor, let me explain something important about humans. We have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We know exactly what happens when the warriors take complete control. That is why our military forces answer to civilian leaders. She gestured to the entire assembly. You are afraid of what we might do with our military capabilities. I understand that fear completely. But consider this important fact. We just had the perfect opportunity to conquer an entire star system. Instead, we are here talking about trade agreements and mutual defense treaties. Security Chief Nara had been monitoring communications throughout the session. Admiral Parker, we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. 17 different star systems have requested human military assistance. The hegemony of Krell has offered a formal military alliance. The Neutral Zone Authority wants to hire human mercenaries for protection. Parker nodded thoughtfully. The galaxy is a very big place. There are lots of bullies out there, but not enough people willing to stand up to them. Earth can help solve that problem. Council Leader Veleth leaned forward with interest. What does humanity want in return for this help? Fair trade relationships with all species, access to galactic technology and scientific knowledge, and recognition as a sovereign species with the right to defend ourselves and our allies. And if we refuse your terms? Asked Counselor Vera. Parker's smile showed her teeth, which made the aliens uncomfortable. Then you will have to solve your own problems. But when the Krex Empire regroups and comes back for revenge, or when the next threat appears, remember that you had the chance to have Earth fighting on your side. The vote was very close, but humanity was finally granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council. The terms were completely unprecedented in galactic history. Earth would maintain its own military forces and could respond to requests for assistance from member species. In return, humans would respect galactic law and submit to council arbitration in disputes. 3 months later, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his private office aboard the ship Defiance. He was reviewing the latest mission assignments when his communications officer interrupted his work. "Sir, we are receiving a priority transmission from the Council. 3 more star systems are requesting our assistance." Morrison activated the display screen. The requests were very different from each other. Space pirates threatening a major trade route, a territorial dispute between 2 minor powers, and another distress call from a species facing complete extinction. Standard humanitarian mission? Asked his executive officer, Commander Amy Cross. Morrison considered the tactical requirements carefully. "Send word to Fleet Command back on Earth. We will need at least 2 full battle groups and a Marine Expeditionary Unit for this one." As he prepared for another deployment, Morrison thought about how much had changed in such a short time. 6 months ago, humanity was completely alone in the cosmos. They had no idea that a galactic community existed beyond their solar system. Now they were the galaxy's protectors, the ones that other species called when civilization needed saving. It was not a responsibility they had asked for or wanted, but it was one they were uniquely qualified to handle. After all, when you evolved on a world that spent millions of years actively trying to kill you, the rest of the galaxy seemed almost peaceful and safe by comparison. The human fleet departed Earth orbit 12 hours later. They were bound for the outer rim of the galaxy where another alien species waited desperately for salvation. Behind them, Earth continued its daily rotation, unaware that its children had become the galaxy's guardians and protectors. In the depths of space, other threats watched and waited patiently. The Krex Empire was slowly rebuilding its forces. Ancient powers stirred in forgotten sectors of the galaxy. New challenges and enemies would definitely emerge in time. But for the first time in galactic history, someone was ready to meet these threats head-on. The Deathworlders had answered the call for help, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Ambassador Keth stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Embassy station. He watched the human ships disappear into hyperspace, carrying hope to another desperate species. "Thank you," he whispered to the stars, knowing that somewhere out there Earth's children were making the galaxy a safer place for everyone.